Hello and welcome to iamstarting.com. Today I am talking to Sridhar, who Forbes had quoted to be the smartest unknown Indian entrepreneur. Today, instead of asking Sridhar the usual questions, we will try to learn as much as possible and understand how from the day one you can actually have a bigger vision. So, welcome Sridhar. Welcome to iamstarting.
I'm happy to be here.
So my first question is that from the day when the Advent Net Inc. from that time, were you sure that you were going to build such a big empire?
Well, first of all, we haven't built such a big empire, so I think the premise of the question is wrong. But to answer your question, no, there was no particular plan about where it's all going to go. We were taking things, one day at a time, 1 month at a time. There wasn't this grand vision, in 10 years we'll do this, all that. But there was clearly one thought in our mind, which is that we have to be in the game. There was no interest in, what is very common in a lot of VC circles, exit, obsession with exit, making it quick, all of that wasn't there. So we thought of it as something that we'll be doing for a long time. So that thought was there. So
okay, and you were working at Qualcomm.
Yes, I was working at Qualcomm, and then I left. And I have to say, I get undue or unfair credit for this. I have to say that other people were involved. For example, I've always said what a crucial role Tony Thomas played, who was my co-founder. Then my brother Kumar played, my brother Shekhar played, and then our founder Sailesh, who actually runs our India operation, he played. So all of these people were very crucial to our success. And Tony, in fact, and our other co-founder Srinivas are now part of a company called V Tiger. And my brother Kumar runs a company, my brother Shekhar runs a company. Only I and Sailesh are left from the original founding team. But all of these folks, all 6 of us played a really vital role. And I was the CEO from about 2000 onwards, but I shouldn't get all the credit. That's very important. I want to stress that. So
I understand that. And what I meant by big empire was that 4 million users is a very, very decent amount of users for a company. And especially people actually are very vocal about Zoho, and few of my friends actually asked me to use Zoho when it was initially launched. Okay, so going to Bootstrap, what are your thoughts on Bootstrap? Some people think it's a good idea. Tell me.
It all depends on what your priorities are.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, as I said, we were, from the beginning, there was, thought that we were doing this for a long time. If you have that type of a perspective, bootstrapping is a good idea. That you think of it as something like a life itself, right? It's not just something you do for a temporary period. On the other hand, if you have a fixed objective in 4 years or 5 years, I want to make this much money and get out, and I would rather be someplace else, do something else, then bootstrapping is not a good idea. It would take a couple of years just to get on your feet. So you have to basically work in obscurity for a long time in bootstrapping. So it depends on your mindset.
Correct. And a lot of startup community discourages people from actually doing a bootstrap business, where their primary problem with the concept is being that you are not focused. If you are so focused, why don't you leave your day job and do this completely?
Well, bootstrap, maybe you do leave your job, right? I did leave my job. So those two are not related. The bootstrapping, the idea is you don't have necessarily any financial backing. You don't have any investor. And that some things cannot be done that way, right? If you want to create a new hardware device, for example, or a medical instrument, for example, you have to have a investment. It cannot be done without investment.
Correct.
So, or you have to build some other business that doesn't require investment, and slowly then from there, get into this other business that you want to do. So it's a very long drawn path to that. And so that's why I said, it's not about leaving your job or not leaving your job. I think in general, if you want to start something really serious, you have to have full focus on it. You cannot just do it part-time. That's very difficult. But bootstrapping is about whether, you actually have, you want investment or not. That's a different question. I mean, that depends on your objectives, and it also depends on what you do. I mean, as I said, if you want to do a medical instrument or a hardware device or something, you have to have investment. It's really difficult to do it without it.
Okay. Okay. So now my next point I wanted to ask you was that were you aware of Rightly before you launched Zoho?
No, actually, we were not. We came to know only after we were working on it for some 2 or 3 months, and then they launched. So that's when we came to be. We became aware of them.
So essentially,
so it looks like they were same time we started working on it.
Okay, and eventually they got acquired by Google, and that's the story.
Yeah, that's what happened. But within about 6 months, or they got acquired by Google.
Okay. So again, my question that being that did you guys wanted to be acquired by Google because you started before Rightly and your application was on the similar pathway, right?
No, that wasn't ever an objective. As I said, we could have sold Zoho at many different points and to different people. It wasn't ever an objective. So
what is the objective then?
So I cannot speak. No, that wasn't our thinking that, we'll start this so we'll get acquired. That wasn't the thought.
Okay. Okay. So this is very, very mundane question, but what were the main problems you had faced being a product company from India?
The main challenges?
Yes, main challenges.
Yeah, there really isn't or wasn't much of a product building culture in India, right? The industry had started out to be IT services oriented, and that mindset is you have to overcome. That means that you cannot just say, somebody I'll take from TCS with 5 years experience and they would come and be ready to work in a product company. That was never true. So we had to actually from the beginning, create our own talent, hire people on our own and make people think in the product way from the beginning. So that's one challenge. And second is a lot of things fit and finish, polish. Those are things that are we just put it this way. I mean, we are privileged. You walk around a urban landscape in India or anywhere, right?
Right.
There's nothing that you are assaulted in your sensibility. I mean, you don't have anything polished, refined, fit and finish. A lot of these are not yet part of our vocabulary, right?
Correct, correct.
I come from a fairly average middle class background, so I'm not rich. I was never rich in India, so where you live, it's you're surrounded by fairly imperfection everywhere, right?
Yeah.
That actually,
yeah, carry on.
And that makes a difference in product, because when you ship a product, your customers have an expectation of a certain level of maturity, finish, polish, all that. Those are things we had to learn. I had to learn, frankly. So those are the things that we have had to learn. Those are the challenges.
And also what we see is that Indians have this chalta attitude, which is, whatever happens, let's live with it. That kind of attitude is something I've seen.
That actually is more to do with our environment, right? I would say and as an ordinary citizen, what you actually feel most is powerlessness, right?
Absolutely.
Everything will be broken. There won't be garbage picked up in my street. There won't be water. I can't fix it, right? There's nothing I can do.
Absolutely.
But powerlessness is the reason for it. And that, then we actually, if you keep thinking about it, you'll go crazy. So you stop thinking about it and say, whatever happens, happens. So
Correct.
That's more the reason. I mean, if we felt a sense of power in ourselves that we can fix it, then we would have a different attitude. But lots of things we cannot fix. And what does they say, right? Give me the power to change things I can change, and give me the wisdom to accept things I cannot change. In India, a lot of things you feel like you cannot change. I mean, like elementary things like your street garbage won't be collected and you can't change it, right? You can make calls you want, but nobody would bother. So that's what gives us the fatalistic attitude, and that's something that I internally fight all the time. We will not take things lying down that way. We have to aim higher. No, the spiritual acceptance is not good for a product. We have to aim higher. We have to keep wanting things. So
Okay. So I have a very quick question for you. So when you say product way of thinking is not prevalent in India yet, can you elaborate?
what's that? I mean, that's coming now. I don't want to say there's a lot of product companies these days, but it's more recent phenomenon. And we have been around about 15 years now. So
Yeah, I
10
agree
years
with
ago
you.
it was. Now recently it has come.
Okay. No, I agree with you. It's a very recent phenomenon. My point more there is that what do you think inculcates the product way of thinking?
There's nothing big deal, Chirag. We make a big deal of it. Lots of people just should go and start. That's all. There's not a formula. There's not a process. There is not some initiative from the government. There's not anything needed. Just go do it. That's all. But just do it is all that I can think of. There's really, I'm saying it after careful consideration. This is not some off the cuff remark. We again, this is part of our disease is to overthink this, right?
Absolutely.
Young kids do it. Just do it. That's all.
I have both opinions now that in other countries, and I'm talking about in the developed countries now. In developed countries, there's an environment which facilitates you going and doing it. Like for instance, in US, you at least have $1,500 coming each month, even if you don't have a job. So such kind of environment is different. Like in India, if you don't have a job, you don't have money. So do you think environment plays a very crucial role in allowing people to just go ahead with their dreams or go ahead with solving problems?
It does, but we can also overthink it, we might think there's some magic in the water, something that we lack. And if we keep thinking that, we'll never find that magic in the water. The magic is in ourselves. So that's the considered opinion. And if you look at our own history now, two of my brothers who started with me, and Zoho, Kumar and Shekhar, they have their own product companies and they're doing very well. And our other founder, Tony Thomas and Srinivas, they have a company in Bangalore and they're doing well. So there's no particular magic. Just go do it.
That's actually being very towards saying just go and do it. So Nike would really like this particular interview. Okay. Now second thing is that you said that you have to build your own team. So I am guessing that from the day one, what was your hiring process? Means you said you wouldn't take people coming with an attitude of chalta hai and all that. So what was your hiring process like?
Well, it actually came from my brother Kumar, who was the one who created the foundation of what is our India operation now. So I have to give him a lot of credit. I shouldn't, I always believe in giving credit where it's due. So my brother Kumar was the one who actually solved a lot of these problems, along with my brother Shekhar. They were together in, creating this whole thing in India, and it was very pragmatic, right? They found that you really cannot go, you cannot find any kind of product expertise in India. This was true at the time, definitely true in 97, 98, all the time. And so they would take pretty much, and you cannot go and hire an IIT or Guindy Engineering College or anywhere, right? Because all the big companies go there too. So from the beginning, it's a case of we would hire who wants to join us rather than chase after people who anyway are not going to join us, right?
Okay.
I like to say you dance with the girl who wants to dance with you. That's how I like to say it, right? But that's
Correct.
really the philosophy here. Yeah. So, and that was the hiring model we had.
Okay. So that the foundation of that, company culture which the founders bring with themselves. So that's still prevalent in Zoho.
Yeah, still even now. I mean, we have zero AMs, maybe one person from IIT, maybe two people other than me. Maybe other than me, there's a couple of people from IIT, any IIT. So that's still the way the company operates.
Okay. So what did you guys do to make sure that company culture doesn't get diluted, which it inevitably does in India?
Yeah, I mean, culture is an important thing that I think about a lot, and it is ultimately the culture that is the cause of productivity, right? We think it's technology, it's all of that, but it's actually an organization's culture that ultimately most vital asset in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And what we do in our case, we actually try to keep it substantially decentralized.
Okay.
So within the company, you won't find that we are private, so we can operate. We have a lot of freedom that a public company will not have, which is why we are private too.
Correct.
So we operate in a fairly loose, informal, decentralized way that stresses a lot of day-to-day autonomy on the job for a lot of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the key to the culture that we actually, except where required. I mean, there are areas where a fairly strict process would be required. For example, in dealing with security, data handling, privacy, those kinds of things require very rigorous process. But in other areas, we tend to be very loosely structured and informal inside. So that's a culture that we have, by and large, we have kept all along. And part of it is also there's a lot of companies take pride in. We grew our staff 100% this year, or we doubled in size from last year. I would be very reluctant to do that because that's the key problem with culture. When you add too many people too quick, you lose your culture. So
Okay. So
does that make
now,
sense?
yeah, absolutely. Actually, you know what, Sridhar, what I've seen is even with my companies, I've worked with quite a few. As soon as a American company starts its branch in India, the work atmosphere is very productive. People are working a lot. But what happens down the line, let's say 3 or 4 years down the line, the culture evidently turns out to be the same TCS culture or Infosys culture. No offense here, but that's what it becomes down the line. And it's very hard for even good human resources managers. It's very hard for them to contain this kind of thing. And you are a growing company, so that must be on top of your head, that to keep that balance from the day one and keep it every day, so people know that where they came from.
Yeah, you said human resource managers cannot keep up, right? But it's often not. I mean, I don't view it as a human resource manager's job to keep the culture. For example, it's my job. It's actually our product manager's job. It's actually the people who have whose day-to-day job it is to manage people. It is their job. It's not. You cannot just say it's a HR person's job to make sure the culture is vibrant. That will never work. So that's one answer for you right there. That it's part of everyone's mandate. And the second is, as I said, we have to grow at a certain measured pace. If we doubled in size next year, for example, we would have a hard time retaining culture. And again, if I were public or if I have VC funding, they would push me to grow as fast as we can. That just comes with the territory, right?
Right.
Because an investor wants the money to grow as fast as they can, but that's not necessarily in the best interest, long-term interest of the company to grow that fast.
Okay.
So we have a certain measured pace of growth, which again we can get away with it because we are they are not public, or we don't have an outside investor. So these are some of the luxuries that we exploit.
So is that why you branched into Zoho University?
Well, that's part of it. I mean, that it actually comes from a different motivation. That is, over the years. I mean, I didn't start out this way, but over the years, I've lost any particular, respect or faith in college education. I want to contrast the two things. There is education that's vital, knowledge that's vital.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the college that's not so important, right?
Okay.
So what colleges sell is not education, but they're selling a degree.
Correct.
I refuse to, in my company, we refuse to recognize it. We don't care for it. We don't care whether you actually have a degree or not. So that's part of why we started the Zoho University. So.
And your objective from Zoho University project is?
So we now this year, for example, we are taking about maybe 60 or 70 kids from, I say kids because they are coming fresh out of high school. Most of them are 17 or 18-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes maybe they may be 19 or 18. They would have come with a diploma.
All right.
But in no case they would even be about 20. And then they would go through this for about a year of very intense period of, they spend 8-9 hours solid learning and trying and hands-on learning.
Okay.
And then they join a team. Then slowly they get more real-world experience and knowledge, and they get paid from day one. This is how the program works. In other words, when we take a student, we start paying them. We don't ask them for a fee. We actually pay them.
Okay.
And this has worked really well for us, and we are going to we keep expanding it. Right now, more than 10% of our staff have come from this program, and my goal would be the next 5 years, 30 to 35% of our overall employees should have come from this program. That's the goal.
Okay, and I think that also answers my question, that how do you maintain your company culture? Okay, so now when I visit your Zoho website, I see that you have a lot of products there, and there's a clear classification, obviously, but why build so many applications? Why not build very few applications and focus on them rather than building too many applications? Just a question.
Well, we don't think we have too many. I mean, we think we have what it takes to run a small business, medium business. That's our goal from the beginning. We don't offer social networking and video chat and whatnot, right? So we are focused. If you see all our apps, there is a method behind the madness, which is that we want to provide you the end-to-end set of tools to run your business, particularly a small to mid-sized business, everything online apps.
Correct.
And so there is a vision there. And the second is consolidation. I mean, the same people who say, why don't you focus on one app, would also be very happy to sell that app to Google or Microsoft or whoever will have, 1,500 apps.
Mm-hmm.
And that itself shows, that economic behavior shows, it's not very viable to be a one-product company too long.
Correct.
You will not survive. The marketplace is consolidated. I mean, show me the company that only makes just the car engine. There used to be companies like that would only make nothing but engines, and they tend not to survive because markets consolidate for very many reasons. I mean, here is a good reason, right? As a customer, you don't want to deal with 18 companies for your online apps needs. Maybe you want to deal with 2 companies.
Correct.
Right? You don't want to buy CRM from here, email from there, your HR app from there, your finance app from there. You really don't want to do that. So eventually, you would deal with 1 or 2 vendors, and we want to be in that short list. That's all.
And it also helps you cross-sell.
Yes, and it lowers economic reason for that consolidation is the cost to acquire a customer can be spread out over multiple applications.
All right.
So you have different revenue sources around which you're spreading out your cost. And that becomes insurmountable over time. I mean, it's not possible to survive with one app paying the full cost of acquiring a customer when your competition is able to spread it out.
Correct. Okay. Now, let me talk about optimization. The reason being that you're doing so much, you're spread across the array of applications, whatever Google is providing, whatever 37 signals are also trying their hand into it. So, how do you optimize your own, thought process of this is what is the product we need to build next? This is a product which needs more focus, and this is how I'm going to support my customers. Let me,
So
yeah, please carry on.
if you look at our product, hello?
Please carry on, sorry.
Yeah. So we are looking at adjacencies. I mean, we have CRM, then we look at that and there is, after sales, support arrives and we need a good offering and support. So that's how the support arrived. And then we have invoicing. Naturally, people are asking for extended full accounting from it. So that's how Zoho books arrived. So that's how we tend to extend our product suite.
So eventually you're going to build the app for almost everything a business does. That's actually...
Well, particularly business context. I mean, that can never be true. There's always new needs arriving.
Mm-hmm.
But we want to offer a reasonable suite of products that a customer will think that they get real productivity out of it. That's the goal. That is. And there's also contextual integration. I mean, if you look at our CRM and our email, they are very tightly integrated now. And that's the other reason why I believe doing all these products is a good idea. If I didn't think it's a good idea, we wouldn't be doing it, right?
Absolutely. Okay. So let me talk about this then. Currently, the trend seems to be every offline application should eventually become an online application. That is a current trend. What do you see is the next trend after?
It's more of this way. If you look at a business particularly, there's no particular value added in running your own servers, maintaining your own databases. All of these are any more than maintaining your own electricity grid.
No, Sridhar, I agree with you. I agree with you. Right. My question is that this is the current, way of the framework. Let's say it's a framework currently that let's offload whatever is not your core part of your business. What do you think is the next step which people will be looking after, let's say 5 years or so? I'm guessing you must be looking into it.
I believe this whole cloud adoption has a long road to run. It could be 10 years before we are fully cloud adopted. I mean, mainframes are still around, even though the PC clearly won. So the same way the PC will be clearly around, the PC desktop apps will be around, but the cloud will become increasingly mainstream. More and more of the mainstream work will happen there. And what next? You have mobile devices, lots of different devices. So I believe that in some sense the client operating system is becoming irrelevant. That's a trend that Microsoft should really worry about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean irrelevant. That is, I'm on a Mac. I don't know what operating system you're on. I could be on an iPad. I could be an Android phone. A lot of these are now, we could be having this Skype conversation on a variety of systems now that, it used to be that most of us would be on Windows, and that's not true anymore. And that is a trend that has profound implications because it alters the way the industry is structured. Microsoft had built its entire business on them having the client monopoly, and that will die. So that throws the whole industry open in a much more open way than ever before, and a lot of opportunity for a lot of people. So that's one of the business side. Technology side, I think, you're seeing touch completely redoing the user interfaces.
Correct.
And then various kinds of different user interfaces choices will emerge.
Okay.
So those are the things that I eventually see. But really no one has a perfect crystal ball in this. To a good extent, you have to keep watching and observing and responding and anticipating. That's part of the business here.
Correct. So that's the same point that right now the framework seems to be that whatever is on desktop, let's bring that on the cloud. And this is good for enterprise customers. This is good for consumer apps also. And next thing seems to be, let's bring them to a tablet. So, for instance, iPad. But what do you mean when you say that, that consumer operating systems? What do you mean by that?
Client operating system.
I'm sorry.
The client.
Yeah.
What I meant is, it used to be a Windows only world. You had to be on Windows to get any work done in a company. And now it could be Mac, it could be an iPad, iPhone, Android, and Chrome OS. I've used Chrome OS for extensively in the recent past. I'm quite happy with it. So all of these kind of scramble the landscape of computing.
Correct.
In fact, that is also a push for cloud adoption, because the only thing common between all these devices is they can access the cloud. Really.
Correct.
You cannot run the same software on an iPad as on a Windows machine, but you can visit the same website and you can run the same. So.
Correct. So, can we expect the OS from Zoho eventually?
No, I don't. That's not an interesting thing anymore. I don't believe the action is in the OS.
Mm-hmm.
The OS is given.
Okay.
In fact, something like Chrome even further commoditizes it, and that's their Google strategy with Android, right?
Yeah.
Give away the Android so that cloud adoption will spread. So, and I agree that's a smart move on their part. So, I don't anticipate us shipping an OS.
Now, like Google's strategy a lot, what they do is they go into any market, commoditize it, and then try to put ads on top of that. Okay, so
yeah, that's their ad-driven business model. So
correct. So they would be very happy if everything in the world is free, and then they can stick an ad on that. Okay, so quickly, can you speak about Manage Engine?
Yeah, that's actually our. People think of Zoho when you think of our company. It's called Zoho Corp now.
Mm-hmm.
But really, Manage Engine is our bigger division that has, been the foundation for a lot of things we do. And we also have another division called Web NMS. That's our original OEM software called Web NMS. And so the company has really three divisions. And Manage Engine is being the largest division by revenue and all of that, those metrics. That's a software as installable, downloadable product.
Mm-hmm.
Increasingly moving to the cloud, but really still very download product driven. And the market it addresses really IT management.
Okay.
Things like network system, server management, application management, help desk, firewall, event log analysis, those type of things. That's what we do.
Okay.
So.
And quickly again about your Web NMS framework.
Yeah, so that is our original business. In fact, that's the product I probably had the most, among all the products that I had the most direct input on, because I used to directly sell it, and I was much closer to the development at that time. And that is still going strong. We are doing really well there. We have a lot of leading OEMs that are shipping products based on Web NMS. So that's our business model. We go to a company like Motorola or Siemens or Hitachi, for example, and they create products based on Web NMS and ship it. So.
Okay. So Sridhar, two of the major problems for Indian startups that I have seen with my limited experiences. One is hosting and domain management. Another one is online payment. So can we expect anything, since you have the infrastructure, since you have the technology? Will you be willing to get into these domains eventually, or you're planning?
Today it's not a big deal. I mean, you can go to Amazon.
No, you can.
And you can host.
No, you can. I understand that part. And what I'm saying is there are a lot of problems associated with Amazon, then other Indian web hosting providers also. So I think people are expecting some really good company to come down and again as Google does, commoditize this particular product, because The support really is really bad with the Indian service providers. So are you planning to get into that eventually? Since you have the
I
infrastructure.
mean, a hosting market?
Yeah, you have the infrastructure. You already doing network management.
Uh, Not, there's no current plan. I mean, I can never say never, but right now we have our hands full,
Mm-hmm.
so there's no real plan right now. So
Okay. So now let me quickly wrap this up because I'm sure you also have meetings with him. What is the single biggest challenge Indian entrepreneurs are facing today, according to you?
I think it's all the barriers are in our own mind.
Correct.
I mean, I would say that particularly in this space, technology. I cannot talk about broader Indian entrepreneurs in general, but if I can talk about technology and internet, this space, the challenge is, we have to start to believe in ourselves more. We should stop believing in there is some magic somewhere that we don't have. That's the problem in India, right? We always tend to think there's some magic somewhere that we don't have, and so that's the bigger challenge, actually, I would say.
Okay. And next thing is, how are you helping entrepreneurs?
I mean, I look at my job as to build as good a company as I can, and these are the kinds of people like you interview me, and I share my whatever I can share. So I'm generally a private person. I don't, I prefer to sort of introverted. I don't actually, go out and do. I was never a party animal ever, so I don't go to mix that. I'm not comfortable with large numbers of people, to be honest.
Same as Sridhar. That's why I started a podcast site. I didn't want to go to startup events where there are more than 20 people. So I started my own podcast site. No.
I was never much of a fan of those events anyway, ever. So.
Okay, I can't say that right now because people may be listening and I can't speak the truth right now. Okay, so my question more is Sridhar, is that if let's say if a startup has a problem, a technological problem or some problem, and your team might be able to help. So is there a forum where people can associate and provide the problems, and someone in your team will be able to help them?
People approach me with ideas or this and that, but to be honest, I mean, there's the internet, the web is such a big resource. It's not like there's some special magic silver bullet that we can do to unlock a problem. Okay, that's the truth. I mean, I'm not trying to say this to be evasive. I'm just saying that the reality is there is a lot of resources out there on the internet. Just do searching around your problem. You are bound to find an answer. It's a technology problem, right?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more.
Some Python, we won't have any particular insight into it. So,
all right.
So I would say that these are overrated a little bit.
All right. Thanks a lot, Sridhar. It was great talking to you.